Performer on the program, to most here, will need no introduction. Joss Dunster is a regular performer. Joss came up here years ago for a very short time to work for the RFDS and didn't ever leave. And she is well and truly settled as part of the Derby landscape these days. And I've enjoyed listening to her in the past. I'm sure this morning will be no exception. Please make a welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. If you've ever seen me up here before, you know that I love C.J. Dennis. It's just tremendously hard for a lady such as myself to do justice to the bloke or Ginger Mick. But I've found one that I can do. So, this one's called The Song of Rain, and anybody who lives in Australia will understand it. Because a little vagrant wind veered south from China Sea, or else because a sunspot stirred, and yet again maybe, because some idle god in play breathed on an errant cloud the heads of twice 2 million folk in gratitude are bowed. Pitter, patter, Bulkamata, Adelaide and Udnadatta, Peppergoona, parched and dry, laugh beneath the dripping sky. Riverina's thirsting plain knows the benison of rain. Ararat and Arkaroola render thanks with Tantanoola for the blessings they are gaining. And it's raining, raining, raining. Because a heaven-sent monsoon the mists before it drove, because things happened in the moon, or else because High Jove, unbending, played at Waterman to please a laughing boy, the hearts through all the continent are raised in grateful joy. Weeps the sky at Whippy-Pippy, Farfarina's folk are dippy with sheer joy, while Ballarat shouts and flings aloft its hat. Thirsty Thackeringga yells, Taltabuka gladly tells of a season wet and windy. Men rejoice in Murrindindi. Caliutas ceased complaining, for it's raining, raining, raining. Because a poor bush parson prayed an altruistic prayer, rich with unselfish fellow love that heaven counted rare, and yet mayhap because one night a meteor was hurled across the everlasting blue, the luck was with our world. On the wilds of Winnaninny, cattle low and horses whinny, frolicking with sheer delight from Beltana to the Bight, in the Mallee's sun-scorched towns, in the sheds on Darling Downs, in the huts on Yadnapinna, tents on Tidnacordinina. To the sky all heads are craning, for it's raining, raining, raining. Because some strange cyclonic thing happened, God knows where. Men dream again of easy days and cash to spend and spare. The ring fair Clara coveted, Belinda's furs are nigh. As Clarklings watch their increments fall shining from the sky, rolls the thunder at Udunda, Leongatha, Bort, Kapunda, send a joyous message down, sorrows flooded, sink and drown. Ninkaloo and Nerram South hail the breaking of the drought. From Talangi's wooded mountains sounds the song of plashing fountains. Sovereign summer's night is waning, for it's raining, raining, raining. Because the breeze blew south by east across the China Sea, or else because the thing was willed through all eternity, speeded by gods that rule the rushing stars, or gods long aeons dead, the earth is made to smile again, and living things are fed. Mile on mile from Malakuta runs the news, and far Baruta speeds it over hill and plain, till the slogan of the rain rolls afar to Yankalilla, Wallaroo and Willarilla, shouted o'er the leagues between, telling of the dawning green. Frogs at Cockorock are croaking, Bilbarauri soil is soaking. Oodla, Wirra, Orroroo breathe relief and hope anew. Witchyproof and Wollongong catch the burden of the song that is rolling, rolling ever o'er the plains of Never Never, sounding in each mountain rill, echoing from hill to hill. In the lonely silent places, men lift up their glad, wet faces, and their thanks ask no explaining. It is raining, raining, raining. By a lady called Victoria Brown who lives in Esperance, and it just went over so well I thought, what the heck? So, The Local Elders Man by Victoria Brown. Oh, I haven't even started. But it is a ripper. When you're living in the country, in the land of bush and scrub, when you're 20 k's from neighbours, another 50 from a pub, when you haven't seen a soul for days, let alone a postman's van, well, never fear. A visit's near from your local elders man. He's a cheerful, friendly fellow with a twinkle in his eye. He brings the daily papers and spare parts when he drops by. He's your link with civilisation in your isolated spot. And when it comes to sights he's seen, he hasn't missed a lot. When you're living miles from anyone, you may think you're not observed, and a false sense of security makes you think you can't be heard. Your city sister daily may have visitors pop in. And so, by 8, she's looking great. The house, like a new pin. For you, by 8, the kids are off, cows milked, you've fed the chooks, you've been so bloody busy, you haven't cared about your looks with hairy legs and daggy shorts and a funny little hat. Odd socks adorn your Rossies. Who the hell would fancy that? But does it really matter? As there's no one there to see, or so you thought, till the eldest man calls unexpectedly. If he thinks, by God, she's ugly, if I only had a gun. He never shows it on his face. Acting lesson number 1. He never mentions unswept floors or comments on the sink that heaves and groans with breakfast plates that teeter on the brink. He understands that farmers' wives are busy all the time. And when he sees you next in town, you'll be dressed up, looking fine. Last summer, hot as hell. North wind blowing fit to bust. The chook bin stank. The house pump seized. I had to brave the dust. I stuffed the baby in the pram and dragged the toddler out. The pram wheels jammed, the scraps tipped up. I began to yell and shout. I arrived exhausted at the shed to find the chooks were dead. This godforsaken hellhole! I wish I lived in town instead. The wind roared loud, I cursed and swore and fell and beat the ground. I failed to hear the eldest man had arrived without a sound. He bent down sympathetically and offered me a hand. I thanked him, extricating from my mouth large gobs of sand. He said to me, well, isn't this a bugger of a day? As if it was quite normal, finding women in this way. He put the children in his car, the toddler on his knee, and probably thought she ought to be in an infirmary. But nothing more was ever said, though there was worse to come. Worse. Yes, you say. Much worse, I fear. Just listen to this one. 2 weeks later, I decided it was time to mow the lawn. The husband and the workman had gone off at crack of dawn. I was alone and mowing hard and working up a sweat, so I stripped off to my underwear to cool me down a bit. The engine throbbed, the sun shone hard. I thought, oh, what the hell? I don't want strap marks on my back. Off came the bra as well. Singing loud whilst working on my great all-over tone, I mowed around the corner into the elders' man. I wish I had been calm and cool and smiled and said, "G'day." Instead, I screamed, blushed, clutched myself, and quickly ran away. With t-shirt and my shorts back on, I met him at the door. I turned the mower off, love. It was all he said, no more. So when you're living in the bush, just remember this advice: expect the unexpected, or you'll end up losing face. Prevent yourself from fits of passion and those weird quirks if you can, or you'll get caught for certain by your local elders man.